Welcome to another episode of the Credit Pearls podcast. Today we have two fantastic ladies, Sue and Fiona from Sweet Spot Sourcing. So their business is a sourcing business where they get products in from countries all over the world, and they can have them manufactured in that country, get them certified and brought back into Ireland where you can sell the products here. So the girls are in business for 10 years. So girls, you're very welcome. This is Sue.
Hi.
And Fiona, because sometimes they're
Thank
just
you.
known as the girls.
Yeah.
So you're the last recording of today. It was a long day. So generally what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about your background, who you are as people. So I know it's two people, so I'll try and direct questions between the both of you.
Great.
And then we'll talk about how you set up your business, your journey so far, and what's next for you ladies.
Brilliant.
Okay, so I'll start with you, Fiona. Where did you grow up, and tell us a little bit about yourself when you were younger?
I grew up in Wicklow, so
Okay.
I'm close to home, and on a farm.
Really?
Believe it or not, yes.
Okay.
My mum was a farmer,
Wow.
and my dad worked for himself from the house, and I hated anything to do with farming.
Really?
At the time.
Okay.
I was hugely embarrassed about it, like in my teenage years. Looking back now, I mean, it was brilliant.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
it
such a
was-
good life
oh, it was
lesson.
fab.
My dad's a farming background, but he had a landscaping business, and we were the same. We'd have to work, and we were mortified because, like I was saying, if anybody sees me like with a wheelbarrow of
Yeah, and in
muck-
wellies.
yeah, and in
it wasn't
wellies.
cool at
Okay,
all.
no.
And now my mum has a garden that's open to the public, and she works against it for herself. Like, so I've learned a huge amount from both of them, and now I love country living. So
Yeah. And was it like? Do you think that instilled a work ethic in you?
definitely.
Because you saw the hours needed and the work that went in, and
Yeah, and maybe just the enjoyment that came from it, and the flexibility and
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah, it must have just absorbed in there somehow.
And did you think when I grow up I'm going to have my own business, or did you have a different plan?
I just knew I wasn't going to be a farmer.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the main
Okay, so
focus.
you're like anything but this.
Yeah.
And what about school? Were you?
School was in Dublin. It wasn't that far from us, but it was one of those things where wherever the bus went to was the school you went
Okay.
to. And I enjoyed it. I really liked school. I didn't necessarily have a very strong sense of what I wanted to do
Okay.
during school or even after school. I went into psychology.
Did you?
That's what my degree is in. Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. But then it was after that I started to work in business, and I really, really enjoyed that.
Okay,
I was
so
like,
that's
yeah,
when you
this is
found
for
your
me.
niche. And I
Yeah.
know, Sue, that you were really competitive. You were sporty in school.
Yes. PE basically was why I went to school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think that competitiveness helped carry you in your career, in your business, in your life?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I suppose there's a focus that I'd have, like, and a determination. Yeah, like I always wanted to do well.
Yeah.
I love medals. And,
Yeah.
and awards, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you always want your own business? Did you think, or what way did your career go for you?
Yeah, like I think innately, yes, I did. Did I know that? No. Did I have a burning desire to do anything when I was growing up? Not necessarily. I definitely, like, mum was like, oh, be a teacher.
Okay.
'Cause
yeah,
of
good,
the-
sensible job.
Good sensible job with great holidays, but
Yeah.
I didn't. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll do that. But there was no burning desire to do it. Then I had just career wise, I worked for a regulatory body, which to be honest with you, just paid me really well.
Yeah, so it was.
And yeah, I wasn't a huge amount of fulfillment out of it, but I did enjoy going to work. Like I really like working. And then probably a kind of a changing point for me was the job that I had before Fiona and I set up. And I had a really, really great boss who really believed in me and saw a lot of potential and basically just let me off.
Wow.
Yeah, and taught me so much and gave me a lot of responsibility. I was very accountable for a lot of everything. But that probably really, really changed my career.
And your mindset, did you think then, okay, I've ability that I didn't realise I had?
Very
because
much
somebody
so,
gave
yeah.
me-
I was just like, oh, you think I can do that? Okay, yeah, fine. Yep, off I went. Mm.
But doesn't that make you think then, because sometimes I'd be guilty of micromanaging.
Mm-hmm.
So isn't it better to let somebody off and see how they go
Yes.
rather than the micromanaging? Because look what happened then.
Exactly.
They can develop and grow in their role. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's,
Yeah.
like I've looked back on my career with some of the best managers that I've had, and definitely the same thing. If
Okay.
they believed in me and if they thought, and it's just hard sometimes to implement that.
It is,
but it's,
yeah.
Yeah.
it's really the right way to go. because more people, we had a couple of people on earlier, and they were saying exactly the same. They were saying, well, somebody believed in me. I walked in, they said they saw something in me that I didn't know I had, and then that develops.
Yeah.
So I think that's crucial for us all to remember, especially me, because I'd be guilty sometimes of it's different in your own business. Like, we'll talk about this later on, but I'd manage staff, but when it's your own business,
Yeah, you said that.
And
so
to let
different.
go, it's hard.
it's hard. And it's your money, and it's your
And your
passion,
reputation.
and everything.
Yeah.
So it is a
Yeah.
completely different. The owner manager is different than a manager in a
yes.
business.
Yeah.
Completely
Yeah,
different.
very different. But
yeah.
then people learn from mistakes, so you have to let them make them.
You
as
have
well.
to, and that's the letting go part.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where you're like, can I actually let
Yeah.
go? Yeah, so I find that tough sometimes. And then you two didn't know each other growing up, so you met.
No,
when
we
did
met
you meet?
through a mutual friend. Was it a party? More than
I
likely.
think it was parties.
Yeah, parties, plural. yeah. And that was, how long ago was that? And we don't need to mention
We
years.
don't
do
need to mention years.
A while ago.
Yeah, a
Well,
while
it
ago.
was-
Yeah.
a few years ago.
A few years ago.
And I think we kept obviously bumping into each other then because it was that time when everyone was out and about.
Yeah,
And
you were at
Yeah.
that age where you were socialising
Yeah,
a lot.
and
Yeah.
we obviously got on very well,
We really
and
drawn to each
yeah,
other, yeah.
really. Actually, sorry, Fiona made me work for our friendship.
I did. I wasn't taking
Oh,
any more
yeah.
applications
Really?
at that stage.
Okay.
Yes, I was fairly full up. I know.
I'd forgotten about that.
I know, but she did. She put the work
Okay.
in. She did. Obviously, it was the
Okay.
competitive edge.
Yeah, she was not going to be outdone now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you became friends. And
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah,
I
friends.
do know a little bit about the backstory. So tell people that are listening, where was the moment that you said, okay, we're going to work together? So you were in different industries,
Yes.
in different businesses.
Yes.
And then, but still kind of both sourcing. What was the thing
The
that brought you
common
together?
kind
the
of-
common, yeah.
Yeah.
The common was, I suppose, the manufacturing, and maybe we were both in at the right stage of our lives. If we didn't even realise it ourselves,
Okay.
that we were probably getting ready to make
A move.
that leap. And I was in China. Sue came over to China, and we did a good. Was it a week? that
It
you
was
came
a
over?
week, yes. Yeah.
And were you there for work or just visited because you knew she was there?
I
or-
just visited to because I knew she was there,
Okay.
and I just wanted to make sure she was okay. To be honest, it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah,
It was a
living
long
in
6 months
China,
in
isn't
China.
it? It's not.
Okay.
It's not easy.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you were living there.
I was living there with my
Okay.
old job. I went over. It was
Right.
part of that process of trying to understand what's next. Like, what can I do?
Okay.
So I asked them if I could go to China, and I was supposed to go for 3 months. I stayed for 6, and it was really hard.
I'd say so.
and I was
language?
struggling.
Did you have the language?
I didn't have the language, no, and I worked
No.
in their office over there. And it's a very hard place to live for a Westerner.
Okay.
You know.
Culturally very different.
So different, you know, and you're stared at, and I'm tall, so they're looking at you the whole time and taking photographs, and it wears you down after a while.
Yeah.
But Sue came over, and we just got chatting. Really, I think that was,
When you decided, okay, we're going to
Yeah.
do this
We're
together.
gonna- yeah.
what are we going to do?
Was it a safety net that you went together? Because look,
Yes.
for me, I'm a dictator. I
Yeah.
said that to you.
Yeah.
So I like to have the control.
Yeah.
But was it a safety net that we'll have each other?
I think it probably
It
like
was.
it was. Yeah, not
Yeah,
indirectly. It wasn't, but yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I would not like to be doing this by myself. I definitely need a partner.
yeah. Like, there's so much, you know. There's two sides to what we do. We're
Yeah.
front facing with customers, and then we have the sourcing end and the factories. So you know, you need
Two people.
two people to do it, really. But I can't imagine not being in business together.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you think about your strengths and your weaknesses, like, you obviously work well together.
Yes.
Would you say you've different strengths?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like Fiona is unreal at seeing an opportunity and going for it. We
Okay.
might not necessarily know where we're going, but yeah, I'm like, okay, Grant, yeah, cool, and I,
She
hope
put the raves on.
Okay. Okay.
and that I hope support system in behind to do all the other bits. Like the
Okay, so
process
you're
and
like kind of the
process.
risk assessing. Is this okay?
Exactly.
Think about
How
this
can we
fee.
actually
Yeah.
do this?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's a
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So you
Yeah.
definitely have. So would you have to find roles in the business?
Oh, for goodness sake, no, we don't. And
tried
we have
some,
tried. And it
but-
just, is it because it's such a small business? Like,
I
you know what I
think
mean? I suppose you're a bit more salesy than me. I'm a bit more financy than
I
me.
would
But,
think, yeah.
but it, at the same time, it very much so changes. Like, Fiona does her cash flow every month or every week. Sorry, you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So like,
it dips
there's
in and out. And
yeah,
because we're small, like, we just have
You have to.
Yeah.
know pretty much everything about it, even though one of us might be more aligned to one end and the
Yeah.
But
other
you still
the
have to know
other.
how to
So,
cross over roles and
Yeah.
do everything. You really
Yeah.
do. You
Yeah.
do. There's no
Yeah.
like, I'm not doing that or I just can't. Like
complete.
we were just saying as well, you have to have so many different hats on: sales, marketing, finance, branding, everything.
Yeah.
And then HR, and then a
Yes.
manager, and then
Yeah.
customer service.
Yeah.
So you do have to have a lot of skills.
And hoovering.
And who?
And
Yeah.
hoovering, yeah.
Also very important.
It is
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
It's everything when you run a business.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no kind of, there's nowhere to hide.
No.
Nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
And so if we think about then, I know you're in business 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So was it the height of the recession when you set up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Middle of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What did people say?
2012. Oh, should they thought we were off our rockers?
Completely crazy, yeah.
Mm.
Because we were leaving jobs. A lot
Very
of those
good
people at
jobs.
that time were either getting put on short time or
Yeah.
losing their jobs. And here we were, like, basically packing ours in.
And just
And
going to.
Off on a little crusade.
No,
And did you, when you planned out the business, because I know I didn't understand it for a while. I was like, sourcing what? Now I totally get it.
Yeah.
Did you have that idea? Did you know you had that certain skill set? Did you see a gap? What was the, was there just, we'll try this?
It was, yeah, I think
Well,
we did have an idea.
we
which-
were doing it, and we did see a bit of a gap in terms of, especially for the own label brands. Like, there's an awful lot of trading companies that will deal with the likes of Dunn's and Tesco and the big retailers.
Yeah.
But if you're a smaller brand and you want to bring out a range of products, there aren't as many companies dealing with that. And there are a good few now, but there wasn't then.
Okay.
You know, where that they have the knowledge, they have a bank of suppliers to be able to bring that product to market.
Yeah.
And I think that's the area that we went after to begin with.
Okay.
And thankfully it worked.
Yeah.
You know, and then we were able to add the retailers onto it. But that was a while. That was a good few years before we were able to do that and compete in that space.
Okay.
And that was probably just down to confidence.
Yeah.
We could have always competed in it.
yeah.
But it was just-
mindset,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
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 Now, you know, we're like, it wouldn't phase us. Well, sure, look, we'll give it a go. Whereas before, you totally shy away from, oh no, geez, they'll think we're idiots. You know,
Yeah.
whereas
What
now.
did people think? How do you think people interacted? Because when I say deal with men in business, they're way more, they're not risk averse, so they'll take more risks.
Yes.
They're way more confident.
Yeah.
So they can do everything.
Yeah.
Do you think women are less so than men?
I mean, I hate to say it, the stats even alone say it. Like every, you know, those say Enterprise Ireland or whatever, and they have special funding, we'll say, for women in business, because the reasoning behind that, they're like 90% of who's asking us for money are men,
Yeah.
and they're like, you know, come on, like just ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're totally different.
Yeah, and even when we do ask, we'll always go, oh we just need
apologetically.
yeah, we just
Yeah.
need 100,000. They're like, are you sure you don't need two? Oh yeah, well maybe two. Yeah, 200,000
Yeah.
would be great as well.
Yeah.
Whereas I think
Men will go after it.
They will. They will,
it
like,
could
we
be
want 1 million.
500,000.
And they may have no
really.
plan at all.
Yeah.
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 So I do find that, and did people, like for me, I found that I got a lot, not judgment, but see it as kind of a girl or the girl in the office, you're going to do girly things.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think I was taken as seriously as if there was a man in my space. I had to fight harder, even in my whole career,
Right. Yeah.
to get the recognition and the respect that that a man would kind of automatically
Automatically
get.
have.
Did you find similar?
Like at times, because what we're doing is like our day-to-day job, it isn't glamorous. You know, we're dealing in factories.
Yeah.
And manufacturing and importing and shipping and all of those kind of things. So I think they sometimes were we looked very different to what we were actually doing, you know.
Than what they had, like they had a stereotypical person who would do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in some respects that worked in our favour.
Yeah.
Because we were able to go in to the likes of especially marketing agencies who weren't used to dealing with the man, the shipper type of person, and they got us, and we could be that softer element of it, even though the work was the same, and we didn't have to bore them with the details of how it all worked or what we were doing in terms of the manufacturing and the certification and all of that kind of stuff, because it would have blown their minds.
Yeah, so
So
you
we
would
didn't
probably
have
have a
to.
different approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like, there's two ways of looking. There was that element of it, but then there's always a plus side to the negative. So
Of course,
there's always some positive that will come out of that judgment.
Yeah.
You can use that to your benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If need be, yeah. So I just, because I'd find that up and down, less so now, but definitely my corporate career, yes.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did, 100%. I felt like I was a senior manager in a company, and the MD once asked me to make tea for people that were
Yeah.
coming in,
Yes.
Yeah.
and I made the tea because it was like, yeah, okay, just did it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know younger girls now won't. They'll scream when they hear this, but we were kind of conditioned in that way.
Little bit, yeah.
A little bit,
So,
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To kind of fit that bill. And thank God it's changing. So,
Yeah.
but I just
Yeah.
wondered, because two glamorous girls, like, what were people thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, was there judgment with that? But a bit, but you did kind of take me to know.
No,
that.
there's no
We
point.
didn't.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's we've no
yeah.
control over it.
Yeah, you're right. You're
So,
right.
Yeah.
I have a few more now bits because I had stuff written down. This is what blew my mind when I met the two of you.
Oh.
When we come to decision making, so say there's a big
Yes.
decision in the
Oh,
business,
yeah.
right? And you're thinking, I want this, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? If there's a complete disagreement, or do
Yeah.
you come up against that?
We, to date, we have been very lucky. There has been probably one or two sticking points. We don't tend to argue. If I suppose, feel very strongly about something, and Fiona's like, no, not so sure. Maybe she'll back down, and vice versa. We're very good at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I refer to maybe the one or two sticking points, it's not right for us.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
can't kind of agree, or one of us back down, it's not right. It's almost like
And it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. It's like it scrambles our head. We can't even have a conversation around it, which is very not like us.
Okay.
So we have learned that it's just a really bad idea.
Yeah, just leave it.
Just leave it.
And
yeah.
did you have a conversation in the beginning to say, let's, like, rules, like, let's always speak our mind, let's never argue? I mean like a couple, because it is a kind of a marriage
is.
of kinds,
Yeah.
of sorts, like it
Yeah.
is.
No, we didn't actually. But
Yeah, I think we over the years we kind of have with the speaking the mind bit, and I think maybe that was, cause remember we were chatting the other day just about how we get on and how, or at the start that we thought that we'd be a good fit together. And I think a lot of it is we speak our mind, so that
Yeah.
if we're upset about something,
Yeah.
we'll say it straight away, or if there's something that's going on.
You're not going
doesn't
to
build
you're not
up.
going to let it keep it inside and be secretly angry.
Yeah,
You feel like
No,
you're
yeah.
allowed to speak your mind.
Yeah,
You're
of
not gonna
course.
Be, yeah.
and therefore
And we
that
don't
doesn't
really
come-
revisit stuff. We move on very
Yes,
quickly.
yeah.
And
Okay.
for both of us in our personal lives, I would move on very quickly from an argument or something as well, and just go, oh, look, right, off we go.
I
Yeah.
think that's
Done.
the key if you're going to be in like two directors. That
Can't be
piece,
hanging on
you
to
can't
stuff.
Be.
No.
You can't. It's not
No.
going to work.
No.
Long term. In 10 years, it's working, and it's working well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people separate or split up, or you often hear big rows, and it
Yeah.
just hasn't happened. And I think it's a lovely dynamic that you have, because I often think, if I want it my way, I want it my way.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
would I
yeah.
actually back down? Would
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
that ability?
Yeah.
But it's a certain type of person, and you have to have that connection with somebody that you say,
Yeah. And I
we
think
can
you
do
need
this.
to recognise, I suppose, strengths. Like Fiona's way more creative than me. So, you know what I mean? A creative, that looks better. I'm like, she's probably right. Like, you know what I mean? There's no
Yeah.
point
Well,
in
yeah,
me.
and maybe the trust element of it, so
Yes,
that if it
exactly.
is like that's something that you really want, it's like there's a reason behind that. It's not just
She's not
a
just
win.
doing it just to have her way.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. Like a mature relationship.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
nice.
an ego driven.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. I'd be guilty of that sometimes.
No, actually, as I said it.
Oh, yeah, that ego, get in, get back and check. It's like it is. You
Yeah.
kind of have to check yourself.
Yeah,
Because it can't get too out of control. Yeah, but it's good to have people to bounce things off. Because the one thing that I found when I started, like the loneliness.
Yeah.
It can be lonely sometimes, and
Oh,
I would like to
yeah.
have somebody to say
Yeah.
things to, that had the same vested interest as me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I say to somebody else, it's not the same because I have this vested interest, but you have each other. So I suppose in ways that's lovely too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should
it
always
is.
have each other, the
is.
best and the worst moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
Sometimes we run into danger. We could convince each other to do anything.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 Harebrained ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we might, no, that's really good. We'd be very enthusiastic, and then actually maybe
I
that's not
slept on that, and actually, how would that really work?
Yeah. We have
Yes.
an operations manager, Eleanor,
Yeah.
who is fantastic at putting us in our place.
Okay.
She really is.
Good.
Yeah.
You know,
I do know Eleanor. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's very practical, and if there's something that we're talking about that is bonkers, she will say it.
Okay.
Very
good.
straight.
Yeah.
face.
Because you kind of have people, you don't want yes people in your business. You want somebody who's actually going to stand up to you and say, stop it now.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
quite enough.
Yeah.
You do
Yes.
need that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
great that you have her there.
Yeah, no, she's brilliant.
She's absolutely
Yeah, yeah,
fantastic.
she
When
does-
did she start?
Oh,
Jesus,
no, well,
I'd
and
say
if she's
4.
listening.
Yeah.
We do
Might
know
be 4
this.
years. Could be 5. Could
I
be
think it
5.
might be 5 in
I think
October.
it's 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think
Yeah.
it's 5 because
Okay.
we kind of lost years in the pandemic. That's how we
Did,
can't
yes,
tell.
okay.
Yes.
We lost those 2 years.
Yeah.
Talking about the pandemic, I know for your
Yes.
business,
Mm.
what was that like? Because you obviously source products from China,
Yeah.
whereas everything started in
Mhm.
China.
Yes.
So what was that like?
Really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Like we obviously heard about it prior to when it was coming. Like let's say just before Chinese New Year ended, our
Okay.
Chinese
It was
suppliers
J-
were
yeah.
telling us
When is
about.
that Chinese New Year?
So Chinese New Year would end generally kind of the beginning of February,
Okay.
and they were talking at that stage about this virus, and we didn't really take too much heed of it.
Yeah.
You know, we were more worried about if this going to cause delays for our clients, and we would have had orders in production that were ready to start again. And then March hit, and then we realised, okay, no, this is actually really serious.
Was the stress just crazy?
Yes.
Yeah, not at that point.
No,
but at
but-
that point it was more just about delays and you know worried about supply. But then we were obviously asked to help with PPE and sourcing that, and that was really stressful because you know we employed the same process that we would normally do for the factories that we do, but it was all so different. You know,
Okay.
the money was 100% upfront. Certification was all over the place.
Like
you know,
the
there was
risk.
fake ones going on.
Yeah, the risk obviously just went sky high, but we were in the middle of it. And you just sort of had to go with
To
it.
go with the
Yeah.
figures were huge, the money and the clients that we were sourcing for, we knew them very, very well. You know, for any of them, for there's something to go wrong, you're talking about hundreds of thousands gone. You know, which would have really affected their business, their personal life, their houses.
Yeah.
So that was very stressful, and you know, sleepless nights and all of that kind of stuff.
And like unknown, so whatever about a recession, we've all been through it. But this was like, when is it ending? 2 weeks, 6 weeks? It just
Yeah.
went on, and it was uncharted territory for the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
So nobody knew anything. We were all guessing, and it was. But I often thought of you girls because I was saying, that's their business, that's their jam. They import stuff in, and this is just gone
Like haywire.
Yeah.
haywire, upside down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that probably the most stressful year for you since you started.
I think so, and it's our best year.
Oh,
It was our
okay.
best year from a
Financially?
financial point of view.
Okay.
So, you know, you can't complain about
So
that.
it's the best and the worst,
First
all
and
in
the
one
worst,
year.
yeah.
And also, Fee, I think we're kind of forgetting we did enjoy it.
We need kind
As
of
much as
enjoy
it because
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
it was all a little bit haphazard, and you know it was go go go
And it was
and
fast.
and we were busy, you know, like you know
It was adrenaline. It was a different
It was
kind of
adrenaline.
adrenaline.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and you'd go into the business park and the place would be dead, like absolutely dead, and yet there was all this hype of activity going on. We were, you know, this, that, you know, it was all
So
very,
contrasting. Everybody thinking it's quiet here, and then inside your business was just that.
yeah,
manic.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like we are very flexible and adaptable. That is one thing or two things that we did really learn
Okay.
from, and resourceful.
And I think we really noticed our strengths
Yeah.
there, you know,
Yeah.
because we really had to dig in.
And we
whether
were
it was
divided.
completely divided, physically, you know.
Oh, for the first time ever, you
Yeah.
didn't actually physically have each other.
Not,
Yeah.
no,
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, and we
had
couldn't.
and we were busy during the day, so we didn't have time to necessarily catch
Check
up. But,
in
but
or-
so much happened in the day, and we maybe needed money from the bank and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. So we had to really work together
Yeah.
on everything and alone, you know.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
didn't have your kind of safety person with you that you normally would for
No.
the security, even to say, calm down, I have this, you have this.
Exactly.
None
No,
of
it was all just a bit. Fiona's off doing that. I'm off doing this. We needed to hope to God that it was actually all coming together.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And like sure, we weren't really allowed to travel to see each other either.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
fight, and you're in
Yeah.
different
The 5K.
counties, actually.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you couldn't see each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. When you
Yeah.
look back, I think we'll
Very
all look
nuts.
back in a few years and just think that we've survived that. So I think if you survived that, like your business is.
We did
survived
so,
that.
yeah,
did
and we did
Did you think
survive
that-
it well.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you think then, so okay, that was like your best and the worst year, but like of the journey, was there key moments where, you know, the milestones for my business, when you get like
Sure.
your 50k, 100k, or you
Yeah.
get this contract you wanted?
Yeah.
What was the moment for you, both of you, I'll ask you separately,
Ooh,
that you look back and say, I remember that moment and that was just brilliant?
that was sweet.
Do you have
I
one?
think the SFA, we
Well, yeah.
applied for the Small Firms Association
Awards.
awards 2 years running, I think. In the second year, we won Outstanding Small Business.
Wow.
And because it was a national award, we were just delighted. Really,
Yeah.
really were.
And
because-
like a medal or a trophy or a
Oh,
plaque or
totally.
whatever.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, I was just like,
She was
yeah.
like, yeah, thanks.
like heels or no heels, we were up there on
Oh,
that stage
really?
Oh, yeah,
before they
okay.
finished.
Yeah.
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 And it was lovely, you know, it was that
Because
proper.
it's a recognition from like an association.
Yeah, and that didn't necessarily know us.
Yeah.
There was no backstory. It was just purely on our application or felt
Yes.
like it. So that
Wow,
was that
that
was
was
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was nice, yeah.
What about you? Did you have a best or?
We were, you know, kind of chatting. Of the SFAs is obviously like this is the trophy.
Yes.
But our first really big order in our first year in business, I do remember, like it was an 80 grand order or something. We were in business for 6 months, not even maybe.
Not even, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was for the summer.
Yeah.
Wow. So, look, that's a lot of money.
a
Anyway,
huge
never
amount
mind in
of
your
money.
first, you're going to faint. Yeah.
Completely. Oh, geez, I take it hand over fist now.
Yeah,
Never
yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Yeah. So that I do remember that going, wow, okay, and they're trusting us to do this.
Yeah.
as
We better
well.
get it together.
Kind
yeah.
of, yeah. Mm.
And was it at that point you thought this is going to work? Or did you always feel this is going to work?
I think, and I don't know whether this was us still being nervous, but the first 2-3 years, I think there was still that element of nervousness
Yeah.
of where is the next order going to come from, or will we be able to pay wages, or just that little bit of
Always
panic.
the same, yeah. Because
It
it's
does
just,
get easier.
yeah,
It does
okay.
subside a little bit.
I think it's more confidence though.
Mm.
Like I still worry, where's the next order? Is that going to happen? Is it not, or whatever? But it's like, okay, like we're at this a while. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
will happen.
And it always
yeah,
does.
yeah. And if not, then you'll make something else happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it still would be a bit
that
nervous.
comes as time, I think, like with anything.
Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
experience for everything is new.
Everything is first time. Yeah.
First time.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God, are we going to make wages? Oh my God, we've a new
Yeah.
employee now. We
Yeah.
have rent. Oh, we have this
Yes.
Yes.
VAT, tax,
Yeah.
all that. And then
Yeah.
as that goes on, you've kind of been there. So
You do,
you've
and you
more
learn how to
confidence.
manage those things. If something does go wrong, or if something crops up, you learn. I can manage this.
Yeah,
it
I know
will
what
be
to
okay.
do in this crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that probably just comes with time.
I think so, and because you're right, like things have happened. Like
Yes.
it's not that nothing bad has happened, or you know, there has been times where you're like, oh, flip, something is really late or
Yeah.
whatever. But we've dealt with it, you know, and managed to keep our customers, you know,
Yes,
just
yeah.
by
'Cause you've
being
no
honest
choice.
and
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've no choice but
And
to
there's
manage your
nobody
way
to fall
out of
back
it.
on, and there's nobody.
No.
You know, when
No.
you think about it, like there is no. I am the boss now.
yeah,
It's
I
like,
get Sue to call you.
yeah. And
Yeah.
those relationships with clients, it's really important, obviously,
Yeah.
in business.
Yeah.
Is either of you or both of you really involved there?
I think we both are just with our
Yeah.
own, not our own customers, but there are customers that we just naturally maybe get on better with, different buyers, and we'll really mind them. And then sometimes we'll swap over on them
Yeah.
if there's something that we think will be more suited product wise
Okay.
to that Sue might have more experience in, or I might have more experience in. We'll swap it around. But yeah, we just mind.
Yeah, it is important, isn't it? The customers, like
Very,
it is.
yeah.
And I know, especially if a buyer moves to another company, that could work really well for you guys.
Oh,
or
yeah,
if
it
a new
has
buyer
done,
comes
yeah.
in, you're like, oh, I have to start now
Yes.
romancing this new buyer.
Yeah.
So it does. I think that part, that soft skill,
Yeah.
is nice, and women have that on
Tap. Yeah.
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 So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that could be a real advantage, because I know, same with us with our clients, that relationship, and I know, and I can see that building, like I'm years behind you guys, but I can see that relationship. They kind of like it. They want to stay with you.
Yeah.
That strengthens. You feel part of their business. They're sort of
Yeah.
part of yours.
Yeah.
And but that soft skill is like that. I can see that's much better with women.
Yeah.
They have that kind of, that's an advantage over men.
Yeah.
Definitely. So 10 years, if you were to go back to, I'm going to ask Sue this one.
Oh.
If you were to go back to Sue 10 years ago, starting out
Yes.
when you were 16,
Yeah.
what's the piece of advice you'd give yourself?
Not put yourself under so much pressure
Okay.
to, like, when we started, there was, this is just a very simple example, but the weather was absolutely smashing. We live in Ireland. We don't get those days. But Fiona and I pretty much took it upon ourselves to lock ourselves in a room and be typing away to these pretend customers and busying ourselves, like not letting ourselves enjoy the fact that, you know what, like we work.
We're our own boss.
We're our own boss. We have our flexibility. Go and enjoy the sun for an hour or two, because you'll be far more productive.
When you come back.
Let's be realistic when you
Yeah.
come back. But we put ourselves, and I have to be working, 9 to 5 and, put in these hours, and like it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Like there are some days I know myself, like I could do an hour's solid work and that would equate to me sitting in the office from 9 to 5.
Yeah. And what's the point?
What is
It's
the
like
point?
a conditioning.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
we must work 9 to 5.
Yeah,
And the business won't grow unless I'm stuck to this desk.
completely.
So,
yeah.
yeah,
And it's not, it's a mindset. Yeah, it's mindset.
It's like, okay, I can do 2 hours and go for a walk or
Completely.
take the rest of the day off.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And that is a mindset
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. So
Okay.
to allow yourself to
Give
do
yourself the
that.
permission to say it's
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
work for ourselves now.
Yeah, and don't be beating yourself up.
Because
over
the other
silly
days you'll be doing
things.
15 hours because a big order will come in or you need to do
Completely,
something.
yeah. And you'll put the hours in when
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
need to. Yeah,
But it is to let ourselves off the hook and say,
yeah.
okay, stop that now.
Yeah.
And when you think about stress, do you deal with stress better now or is it still the same?
Oh, I would think we both deal with it pretty well.
I think so, yeah. I think we don't. I think it goes back to that, the confidence in that if something does go wrong,
I can handle it.
I can handle it, we can figure it out. So we do, even like when things that could be more stressful. I mean, in the first few years, I definitely used to be stressing about everything, like the container falling off the ship and pirates getting at it, those kind of things. So I don't think about them as much anymore.
Yeah.
Because they never happened. But maybe if they did and it all worked out, it's that confidence that you're like, whatever happens, we'll figure it out. But we've put so many measures in place that generally things don't happen.
You took the stress kind of out of it.
Yeah.
Things aren't late because we give buffers and we have time because we're expecting that there might be delays.
And
So
it can happen and
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
suppose we
that's
do.
important.
yeah.
And you both like to exercise, train.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I think, important. A healthy body, healthy mind, keep the body moving because there's a risk of sitting behind a desk or doing nothing or just kind of
But that's
forgetting itself.
again what I'm. Go for your walk. Go to the gym at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the world is not going to fall apart for that hour that you need to take for yourself.
Yeah.
Work will be so much easier for you. Everything.
Yeah. I need to
Yeah.
take that advice, Sue. I do.
You do.
I just think I'm still in that mindset of, oh my God, I have to work 12 hours a day
Yeah.
or the business is going to fail. And
It won't.
sometimes I know it's not productive work.
Yeah.
You're just there.
It's like, I have to be here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
really, I don't.
No.
No.
So I love that the more people that I talk to that are ahead of me, it's great for me,
Yeah.
as well as people who are listening and watching, for the advice, because it's all the same. Everybody's the same. We all panicked. Everybody was in the same boat.
Yeah.
But it's like, take my advice. It'll be all right.
It
Go
will.
for your walk.
And you
it'll
will never get this time back.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. Tomorrow will be another day
Tomorrow's
and the work will be
yes.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, I do need to take that on board, definitely. So, people that are listening, there are probably people who are starting their business journey now. Have you any advice for them?
I think there's a couple of things. I think for the first part that's hard is when you're starting first and you don't have maybe a whole lot of savings
Money
in the bank or
that's the biggest thing,
or
yeah.
capital there that
Yeah.
you can draw on. So it's just trying to get that maybe small contract or a little bit of bread and butter contract that's maybe small but covers your basis, maybe pays
Okay.
for your childcare or your mortgage or those small
So
bills
even
at the
income
start.
that you say, okay, I
Just
have money coming
something.
in.
Yeah, and whether that could be just before, if you are leaving a job, could you stay on 1 day a week or 2 days a week?
I know you both did that, didn't
Yes.
you, for a while?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
and
do
it
too.
really did help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it did. Like because we had money coming in.
Yeah.
For the first 6 months, wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Like we had cash
So
coming
you
in.
and it's kind of nice safety net because you're like, well, I know that
Yes.
I guarantee that money
Yeah.
every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to look for it.
And you're like, then I can just spend time. Where can you imagine having nothing and then that panic every month?
Yeah,
And things are
that's-
building up. Maybe your debts are building up.
Yeah.
You've got that stress.
Yeah.
So I think if you can look after that, it doesn't have to be a huge amount of money, but just enough
Something.
to cover your
Get that
bases.
first one under the belt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second was grants. Sue is a ninja at getting
Okay.
grants. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And they're out there and they are not that hard to get. Once you read the criteria and what they're looking for,
Make it happen
make
then.
it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be honest, and even if, like, I suppose potentially it would be just the local enterprise office that you'd be going to, like, they are so helpful. You know, like, if you're not good at filling in forms, I hate filling them in, but if you just ring them, they're like, oh yeah, and they'll give you clear guidelines and actually what, you know, you need to fill in. It's they're never looking for a huge amount or all the information you think they want. Like, it's not, they don't want
a P&L and a whole, yes.
completely, or a big
Yeah.
essay,
Yeah.
or, you know, all of this future kind of planning stuff. You're like, I don't know yet. Like, I'm 6 months in business. You haven't a clue
Yeah.
how things are going to go.
Okay.
So local
brand-
support, yeah.
Okay, that's really
And the
important.
chamber office were really...
Chamber office were amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the County Kildare Chamber, yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
actually were there in the beginning, weren't you?
Yes.
We got a voucher from AIB when we set up our account, like a little voucher to join the
Yeah.
chamber.
Oh, really?
And like, I don't know if we hadn't, I mean, it would have been very different because obviously our office was there.
Yeah.
We met so many people through it that we know now, particularly because we'd worked in bigger organisations and we
I
were
was the
going
same. You've
into
no
just
network.
two.
You've no network, really.
We'd no colleagues, you
Yeah.
know, and suddenly we did, even for people to go to the races with. Like, there was a real social end to it.
Yeah.
So it was a game changer, I think, for us. Like,
Okay,
it was
so
brilliant.
yeah, and I'd always advise people as well, join the local chamber.
Yes.
Right. Join
And
it, meet people, talk to people, ask for advice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody has it sorted.
You think
No.
they do.
You think they do, and nobody has
Yeah.
it sorted.
No.
Everybody is winging it.
Yeah.
And the more business...
Except you two.
Yeah.
Totally.
Did you
Yeah,
know?
but in those first few years, because you don't have a clue. Like, I actually thought, I remember the website went live, because I actually spoke to Fiona first before I set up the business. I was like, I'm going to meet with these two girls and ask them their advice. And I set up the website and I thought, okay, and I had a phone number, and I was like, okay, people are going to ring me now for a business. And I hadn't a clue, like, you had to actually market and
Yeah.
go
yeah,
hunt for business and
Yeah.
look for it. And I had not a clue about that side of it at
Yeah.
all. And then, like, now I'm like laughing at the naivety, but you really don't in the beginning. I knew my service, I knew how to deliver that, I knew I was really good at this.
Yes.
Yeah.
The rest of the business, sales, marketing, branding,
Yeah.
knew nothing.
Yeah.
No connections on LinkedIn, didn't know how to put a story on Instagram. I had no idea of anything.
Yeah.
I didn't even know, like, what a brand sort of was.
Yeah.
Branding, but I had to learn.
Yeah.
And I
had
think
to
that
learn.
naivety, though, is important at
So
the
do
start.
I.
I do, like, because, and the amount of podcasts I've listened to, that comes up time and time again,
Yeah.
because you don't know what you don't know.
Yes, you haven't a clue that you're actually really having a clue.
Yeah. I think if you knew all the things you didn't know, it would blow your mind.
Yeah,
So
you'd
just-
never
you're
take
like,
the
"Oh,
leap."
grand."
No,
Never,
you
but-
wouldn't. Yeah.
no.
Blind
Yeah.
faith is needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And confidence. Like, I think if you're confident in your ability of what you could do. So for me, I said, I know I can do this well.
Yeah.
So if I get a customer, I can deliver what I say I'm going to
Yeah.
deliver. But just get me a customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my first challenge. But like that, I stayed on. But those first few years, you really don't. Like, there's certain aspects you do, and I would have known about accounts and P&Ls.
Okay. Yes.
I knew that side of the business,
Yeah.
but didn't know how to sell.
Yeah.
I actually remember my first sales call. Oh my God. It was just a disaster. I had no idea how to sell.
But like sometimes you come across old emails you might have
Oh
sent out,
my
like
God, yeah.
touting for business. You're like, oh my God. Yeah.
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 So embarrassed.
Yeah.
We did.
Oh,
We got a meeting with McDonald's, and
Oh yeah, this is a good story.
this was maybe first year, second year,
Oh,
anyway,
first,
early days.
yeah.
And we thought, this is it. I mean,
We're made.
We're,
We're
clearly,
made,
They're
yeah.
We're going to now
Yeah.
replace Disney for their Happy Meals.
Yeah.
And so we met the girl. She was so lovely to us, and I think she could see the excitement in her eyes,
Yeah.
you know. And she was like, "Okay, girls,
Just hang on there.
this is for, we need some products for local events in store, not the Happy Meals." Yeah, we really thought, but that was the confidence. We really thought we would be doing worldwide
Yeah.
Happy Meals for
Yeah,
McDonald's.
Walt Disney was a thing of the past.
Yeah, and we did. And it was, yeah, she broke us like gently, but yeah,
Oh,
we did.
no. But it is
Yeah.
when you look back, like, even I'm only 3 years now. I'm actually 3 years today. I
Yeah,
didn't know that. until I checked
congratulations,
the people
yeah.
said on
Congrats.
LinkedIn. But when you look back, even to the first year, like, you're like, I actually was dope. Like, really, you know. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
You know, so you do need that. You need that confidence.
You
I
do.
think,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
and that naivety.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to learn forever. I think I'm
Yes.
still learning. I think in 10 years I'll be learning.
Yeah.
In 15 years, I
Yeah.
think you can never stop learning. I think you know, you can't
No.
think you know it all.
No,
Um,
absolutely not. No.
So
no.
that's really important. What else? Oh yeah, so that was for startups. So if somebody is looking then to grow their business, I asked a few people this, and this is probably a little bit more tricky because the startups, it's easy. We know all that. Get your website,
Yeah.
get you this, da da da. But if they're looking to grow, so
Yeah.
moving from like say the 3 to 5 years or the 5 to 10, was there a plan or something that you did differently, or any advice you'd have for people?
Well, I suppose from a very kind of practical point of view, it will be look at your customer base, look at who is generating the most amount of profit,
Okay.
and grow that area. I mean, I
Okay.
don't mean that's a bit like 2 and 2, but I mean it is very simple.
But go where the money is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we can do the thing we love, and you actually look at it and you're like, that is not making me
Well,
money.
where the profit is, gross
Yeah.
profit, not like revenue. It's just
yeah, it's
ego.
revenue, it's just the ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so making sure you understand your numbers. And then our business kind of to be fair, like the first say 1 to 5 years, we were very top heavy and reliant on agencies.
Yes.
And we switched that around.
Which
So
was
when you
very
say
nervy.
agencies, what would that
Yeah.
be?
So marketing agencies.
Okay.
And we were very top heavy there, and that was, you know, a lot of people would move within agencies, and you know it was hard to maybe build relationships
Okay.
or so we were like, oh, that doesn't feel very comfortable.
It's like risky.
A little bit,
It was like all our eggs in one basket. Whereas
Yeah.
Because we went to agencies at the start. Like an agency might have 5 brands under their belt, and you know we were too new for those brands to take a risk on us.
Yeah.
So we could work with the agencies and suddenly have access to
Big
5 or 6
names.
Okay.
Yeah.
names.
Okay.
Yeah,
But that meant we only had one customer.
And they had the direct contact
very
with
much
those
so. We
companies.
got completely and utterly lost. We were
Okay.
just a supplier to the
Just in the
agency and
background.
whatever. You know, now if things went wrong, then our name would get mentioned. But if things go
Okay.
right, it was
It was all them.
it was the agency really that shone. It wasn't
Yeah.
us.
So it just made it difficult for us in terms of just having that only 1 or 2 customers. If something did happen,
If you lost
would
one,
we just lose
half your
all
business
of
is
that?
gone. Yeah.
So we felt a bit exposed, I suppose, on that.
And did you actively then target certain customers, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
More direct with brands, and then we obviously have a few retailers that we would deal with. So I suppose we
Just to change of direction, working with the agencies together with the brands, which was a better
It's
relationship.
collaborative then.
It was a bit
And
more
your name was
collaborative.
there, and they knew
Yeah.
who Sweet Spot are, who Fiona
Yeah.
Sue,
Exactly,
your-
and details
yeah.
didn't get lost and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So it actually did work well. But at the start, we were worried that, you know, is this going to work? Are we strong enough to do this on our own? And
Yeah.
Absolutely, you were. Yeah.
Yeah.
So brilliant. Yeah. So that, I suppose people do really need to start looking now, because when you go into that second stage of growth, or the real, as I say, I'm only really starting now. You have to start looking. Okay, how can I scale this now and build off what we have?
Yeah.
But the
And say
profit-
no to business as well.
Yeah.
I actually said no to something on Friday. Yeah, I said no because it was like it's not really in line with what we do.
Sure. Or it's going to put you under too much
Yeah,
pressure.
but
or
I felt sick.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
said no. I was
yeah.
like, no.
this
No,
isn't right.
it's not right.
Yeah.
But I did. Then I awake all night saying, did I do the right thing?
I know, yeah,
I should have said yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I knew it was.
Yeah.
And like I would not have said no 2 years ago. No way. I said yes to everything. So
Yeah.
I think there does come a point in that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
were
we
the
still
same.
say yes to some stuff
We definitely should. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we shouldn't. No.
Yeah, but you just look at you're like, I need the revenue.
Yeah.
I need
Yes,
the
yeah,
there's
yeah,
profit in
yeah.
that, and we need it.
Very
Yeah.
much so. Yeah.
Or for some of our it's customer relationship, you know, management. So it might be something that isn't really profitable for us, but it's really handy
For
for
them.
them.
Yeah.
So we will do it
Because you want to
and
be
just
that
help out.
go-to. You don't want them
Very
to
mu-
move
yes.
somewhere else and say,
Exactly,
okay, they
yeah.
weren't helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
go with them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that really is important.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we can balance that a bit.
And now it's 2 questions, but I'm just going to put it to one. If money wasn't an option in your business, I won't say, if money wasn't an option in your business, what would you do? Or what's the next step for you guys?
Are you looking at me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If money wasn't an option, or we had loads of money,
Yeah.
yeah. We have been thinking about for a while now product range,
Yeah.
and bringing out our own products.
Okay.
So I think if we had that,
Like a load of cash, or you won the lotto, it was all there in the business.
Yeah.
You didn't have to worry about cash flow.
you'd be able to do a proper plan on it, do
Okay.
all your marketing behind it, and build this brand.
Or a product.
yeah, exactly, and spend on that, on stock in it. And I think that's what we would probably
It's always
would
something.
do.
That you want to
Yeah.
do. So maybe for the future, that is something that you will do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have a
Yes.
product that you want to design, or it hasn't come to mind yet?
No,
Yeah.
we've a few different ideas, but just not
Okay.
the right one yet.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
this is where it goes back to that
Yes.
decision making.
Okay.
We haven't, it's not that we haven't agreed on a product, we've agreed on many, but it's still not right.
It's not
Okay.
right.
No.
Okay.
We find if something isn't right, it doesn't go anywhere. We kind
Yeah.
of talk about it and it never really, because
Yeah.
neither of us have the impetus to kind of take it forward.
Yeah. But if it's right, you'd run
but if it's
with
right,
it.
Yes.
we're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd know.
Yeah.
You'd feel it in your. You'd say,
That's
this
what I
is the
mean.
one.
Yeah.
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 So
Well,
maybe in
Fiona's
time.
off running. I'm behind her.
Wait. And just,
I need you to sign this. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd probably be the one that will design something or think of
Yeah.
something, and then you'll put the
Yeah.
Yeah.
things on it. That's
Yeah.
a great dynamic to have.
Yeah.
Mm.
We just
Great
need to think of
dynamic.
the idea.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
will
for
though.
our part. But we will.
You will.
It'll come.
And I
yeah.
think now that the pandemic's over, because I was talking to different people and they looked at research around when you're in a heightened state of stress,
Yeah.
you cannot design or you can't be creative.
Yeah.
It stops your creativity
Fight
by
or
something
flight.
like 90%. You're in that fight or flight.
Wow.
And when you're in that state, you cannot create. You're not in a creative state. You're in a kind of getting ready to run or
Yes.
fight or whatever it is.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
only when we calm down and relax that those ideas come to us. They were even saying that, you know, when people brainstorm
Yes.
in an office, it's like nobody's going to think of a good idea. You'll
Yeah.
think of the good idea in the shower or when
Yeah.
you're on the beach walking. So people should allow their staff to actually be free for an hour or two, as you said, to go for a walk.
Yeah.
That's where the ideas will come. When
Yeah.
we're relaxed and we're not focused on trying to find an idea,
Yeah.
it'll just come then. So that's what they think. That's what they
Driving for
reckon.
me, that's getting into
Is
the car,
it?
just driving somewhere. Yeah.
Do you think of ideas then?
Yeah, just I think it's because you're in the car, you're not thinking of anything else, bar obviously driving and being safe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And you're on your own.
You're on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I
maybe
think-
you're stuck in traffic or you've got
Yeah,
just
and you're in that little
time.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I try to do lately is not phone people when I'm in the car.
Oh, yes.
Like literally somebody, you
Yeah.
just want to fill that void and
Yeah.
you're talking shite with somebody.
Yeah.
So I won't do that now. I'll
Yeah.
leave that off and just be alone with myself.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
And like that, I can have some really good ideas
Yeah.
on walking or running, but I'll never have them if I sit down and say, I need to think of an idea.
Yeah.
It's not how it works.
No.
Yeah.
Or if we're stressed with a pandemic and the business is crazy, you cannot think of a new idea. Your head's too full.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think you probably think of something now that things have calmed down. And
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully, yeah.
No pressure.
so that's it for you guys. You are just, I think you're amazing girls. I
Thank
think
you.
you're fantastic. We're next door neighbours now, as you know. I was dying to move in, so I
Yeah.
live next door to the girls when our offices are right beside each other. But I was inspired by both of you before I started my business, and I'd look and see. I had no idea what you did. I thought you sold sweets.
Yeah.
But I think it's great for women like me to see women like you. And girls who are 25 to see women like me, to see women like you out there doing their thing. No men in their business. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
big kudos and well done to
Well,
both of you.
Thank you. But there is also something we were just chatting about before we came in, and that's you're an inspiration to us.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
it's so
Yeah.
nice that today is obviously 3 years in business.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, you're always doing something. You're
I
always
know,
trying
yeah.
something new, like a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your social media.
Yeah, your social media, everything. So
Yeah.
big Buddha bus to you as well.
Thank you very much. So that was great, girls. Thank
Thanks a
you.
million.